All right, welcome back, Pokemon fans. We're getting ready to start the final round of Swiss at the Independence, Missouri Midseason Showdown. This round, we're bringing two 2-1 players who are playing for a win and in. On the left side of your screen, you've got Alex Williams, who we saw in round 1, and on the right side, you've got Ethan Simpson. Team consists of Yveltal, Manectric, Tapu, Fini. I forget the name of the bell. Carl, help me out.
Bronzong.
Groudon and Hitmontop, and Ethan using a team of Incineroar, Lunala, Metagross, Tapu, Lele, and Xerneas. Go ahead.
We have not seen Ethan on stream yet. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And I did catch a little bit of round 1 with Alex and his super bulky Groudon with Swords Dance, support Fini obviously, and the Lunala matchup is interesting. I wonder if he'll even try to go the Trick Room route because of the Lunala, but Alex has a Yveltal, which is a huge threat to that, so it's hard to tell here who's got the matchup advantage. It looks kind of even. What do you think?
Yeah, so Ethan, I think like the Bronzong kind of scares away the Metagross a little bit, and there's not a whole lot on Alex's side of the field that Metagross is great against.
Mm-hmm.
So between the Bronzong and the Yveltal, like Metagross is kind of tough to use. Also, the Yveltal is just very threatening to that Lunala. That makes it kind of difficult to utilize. So we do see, Ethan just going with this, as it was so not so lovingly called in VGC 16, this Smeargle Xerneas lead. Smeargle gives a lot of options.
Whitney, you there?
Yeah, sorry, I DC'd for a second.
Okay, no worries.
A lot of options to help Xerneas set up, and it's just very frustrating to play against. It was neutered a little bit without access to Dark Void, and also Tapu Fini blocking the spores for any grounded Pokemon. But still in a strong position to be able to set it up with Follow Me, Wide Guard, Fake Out. So we do see the Spore going into Yveltal. Xerneas did take a Snarl, so if it boosts, it's only going to be at +1. But no boosting right now. Doesn't feel the need to.
Mm-hmm. I think he wanted to scout out for something like a Haze from Tapu Fini, and also maybe what kind of item this Yveltal had. It looks pretty clearly like it's an Assault Vest. But what did we see from the Fini in round 1? I think we saw Light Screen, Heal Pulse, Icy Wind, and Nature's Madness, I think.
Right.
So Ethan doesn't know this, but there is no Haze on the Fini.
I definitely think, it's Ethan's, it's in his best interest, right? You don't want to pop your and then just get hazed for the trouble. So,
Right.
That's some good information management that Alex is going to want to in favor of Incineroar.
And
got pressure once again.
And the Yveltal on Alex's side, you see it against a Smeargle Xerneas and you think, what's Yveltal even doing here? But Yveltal's Snarl was really handy for him. It broke the sash on Smeargle, and of course lowered the special attack of Xerneas. And he's taken a Gleam now and a Moonblast, and he's still got some health.
Right, so that Snarl's paying huge dividends, helping him burn some of those sleep turns, while Xerneas, on paper, you're like, oh, Xerneas has a great matchup versus Yveltal, but right now Yveltal's kind of holding its own. So,
And the Fini's not too threatened either. He could go for something like a Light Screen or a Nature's Madness into the Incineroar. But this looks like a great switch for Alex.
Yeah, so this switch in here, Groudon just resists the fairy type attacks, and especially with the potential to get a light screen up, really prevent any damage coming out from this Xerneas. That's a pretty strong position for Alex to be in. Of course, this Xerneas does get its boost. It's taken 1 Icy Wind and 1 Snarl, so it's only at +1 special attack and speed, but that's still a boost. It's still going to be dealing quite a bit more damage than it has been.
Despite Alex's fairly good position here, I would say that was a great turn from Ethan. He faked out the right slot. Fini didn't do anything, and he got his boost. And I mean, I think Moonblast will still do less than half to Groudon. Looks like a bulky one anyway, but he's only at +1. So he's got to feel like he needs to defend his Xerneas here, I'm sure.
Right, and so the Xerneas has already taken a oh goodness, words are hard. It's already taken a Nature's Madness, so that's going to, it kind of puts it in KO range potentially for a Precipice Blades as come out, and
wow.
Also,
that might be a big miss there. And we saw in round 1, unfortunately, Alex's Groudon is not being too friendly today. It missed a lot, if I remember correctly. So here it misses again. This provides, the fake out opportunity from Ethan's Smeargle. So I would imagine this goes into the Groudon, unless he still fears a haze potentially.
Right, so he's got the fake out potential on Smeargle. He's also got Follow Me, right? So there's a little bit of mind games going on. Alex has to decide, I'll have Follow Me, do I want to Fire Punch, in fear of a Wide Guard, or do I want to click Precipice Blades in fear of a Follow Me? It's just sort of a tough thing. So
Right.
We do see this Bronzong coming in, taking like 0 damage thanks to resisting the Dazzling Gleam and having Light Screen up. Terrain did end, so it could potentially be Spored, but if Tapu Fini switches in here and it Levitate as an ability, then where Tapu Fini can switch in and prevent it from getting...
Oh, the Moody boost really not helping.
Yeah, so that
Ethan.
accuracy drop there, Spore missing due to an accuracy drop. Fire Punch picks up the KO on the Xerneas, and Trick Room is coming up here. That's going to put Alex in a pretty strong position for the rest of this game,
Great
he's
position.
got... Of course, Smeargle doesn't threaten a whole lot offensively. It did get a speed drop there, which could play in Ethan's favor a lot with Trick Room being active now. But there's just not a whole lot of offensive potential, and it's kind of going to depend on what Ethan has to deal with this Trick Room mode. He does have his Incineroar, which could come in here. He does have...
Yeah, and now the Bronzong threatens.
Lunala could be in a good position, and so we do see Lunala coming in here.
Yes, and Bronzong is really threatening right now with the boosted accuracy and Hypnosis. On the outset, I said I don't know if Bronzong comes to this matchup because of the Lunala, but despite the Lunala and despite the Smeargle having Spore, which would be a great answer for Bronzong, here we are in Trick Room. Bronzong's really threatening. Groudon's really threatening. And you've got the Yveltal in the back as well, which there's no Xerneas anymore, so Yveltal can wake up and do some things to the Lunala as well. So this is looking great for Alex.
Right, so Ethan's kind of, at this point, he's just got to hope for, some Hypnosis misses. It only comes up to 83% accurate with +1 accuracy from Z Trick Room. Oh, and with Tapu Fini coming in here, that's a non-issue at this point. I'm not 100% sure what.
Spore coming out from Ethan's side.
Right. So
Fini takes that really well with the light screen.
For sure, Fini, takes almost, like it's still a lot of damage, but considering it's a Z move from, a Lunala, like relatively little damage, compared to what it could have, and that also preserves his Groudon for later. So still in the driver's seat, he's still got his Trick Room mode active. Bronzong, of course, is a little bit neutered due to here, but at the very least, he could break Shadow Shield on that Lunala with it to kind of clear the way for Yveltal later on.
And speaking of the Yveltal, I think, Whitney, I'm thinking that the Incineroar needs to have Flare Blitz to even deal with the Yveltal at all.
Absolutely.
So we'll see if something like that comes out here, because he really needs something like that to even break the Yveltal.
So we do see Lunala going for the Protect, wants to preserve that for as long as it can, as this Flare Blitz goes into the Yveltal. Wow. Fails to pick up the KO, leaves it with 2 HP, but Heal Pulse coming out here. So that's a really, really good Heal Pulse, because now Yveltal is just in such a good position. I believe it's taken 2 turns of sleep, so a high chance that it wakes up here, and can just really start wrecking havoc against this.
It's either 1 or 2. It might be 1 turn of sleep, but yeah, that was a very risky play to switch in the Yveltal when there might be a Flare Blitz coming out, but clutch survival there. And yeah, now at this point, I don't think. Okay, very good taunt though.
I do like seeing that. Like seeing that taunt coming out from Incineroar, preventing any sort of Heal Pulse shenanigans. But it might be a little bit too little, too late, right? Like this Yveltal is already in a good position since it's already got that 1 Heal Pulse after that clutch survival last turn.
Right, and that does like 10 HP there. That Moongeist Beam. Yeah, so really there's a lot resting on Incineroar's shoulders right now, because he's the one shutting down the Fini with taunt, but he's also one who's supposed to be dealing damage to the Yveltal with Flare Blitz. So as long as I think Alex doesn't make any super careless switches, I think he's got this locked up.
Yeah, so I believe that's 4 moves revealed from that's all 4 moves revealed from the Tapu Fini. So Ethan will know in the future that haze isn't a problem, and that could change. Well, it could definitely change how he goes about future turns. So
definitely.
Let's into the Bronzong. Unfortunately, I just don't know enough calcs to know if Bronzong is just naturally bulky enough to take that, or if that is heat proof, the heat proof ability.
Yeah, I believe it's Levitate. I think I think it took about 80% there from the Flare Blitz, which is about right.
Okay, so if Ethan's aware of that, that's also some pretty important information, because he knows, if it is Levitate, that he can still Spore it in misty terrain as a way to prevent Trick Room from coming up. As long as Spore accuracy drops on Moody.
Right. Yeah. So even this game one's looking like it's Alex's in the books. Ethan has a lot of information. I mean, this has been a long drawn out game 1, and Ethan's been able to see a lot. He knows there's no haze on Fini. He knows that it's Assault Vest on Yveltal with the Snarl. He knows he can assume, I think, that Levitate on Bronzong, so we can Spore it. So he's got a lot of information.
Right. So he's got a lot of information, which is definitely going to help out, in finishing up this game. Excuse me, in the rest of this match. The Misty Terrain ending and unfortunately, Smeargle kind of needed a speed boost there. It's taken a so that's going to make it slower than both of the Pokemon that back. It kind of needed that speed boost in order to remain threatening, because there's not a whole lot that you hear without putting things to sleep and being slower. That's just really going to neuter it.
I wouldn't mind seeing a forfeit here from Ethan. I mean, he could very well play it out, but he might, if there's a berry on Incineroar or not a berry, he might not want to reveal what the item is. I don't know how he really comes back here, so it'll be interesting to see what he does here.
We see the Oblivion Wing coming out from Yveltal, picking up that KO on Smeargle. And with Trick Room expired, and Taunt also expired on the Tapu Fini, it's free to Heal Pulse the Yveltal, meaning that this Flare Blitz can't KO. So I tend to agree with you that maybe a forfeit would have been in Ethan's best interest to preserve some information, but I can't blame somebody for trying to play out a win con regardless,
Yes,
an item for Incineroar to be holding. So revealing if you're berry or not isn't the end of the world. It's tough to say for sure, honestly.
Sure. And we're not in their shoes. We're merely looking on. But
so,
yes. So we might see here, if Ethan doesn't forfeit, we might actually see the item on Incineroar.
See this Moongeist Beam, likely going into that Tapu Fini, hoping to finish it off. And that could also be, while Ethan does want to preserve information, he could be trying to fish for a little bit more information on his opponent, right?
That's
so, maybe he feels like giving up the item on Incineroar isn't that big of a deal. Like, maybe he finds out on this turn if Groudon is minimum speed or not. That could be something that's important for him for his game plan in the future. And with that burn, I don't think it's going to matter for Incineroar to finish off this Groudon. That's going to happen as long as Groudon can connect its moves. It kind of looks like Alex is going to take it, but learning which of these two Pokemon between Incineroar and Groudon is faster to help you decide if that's going to help you in the Trick Room mode or not. That's some important information to take into game 2 as well.
Mm-hmm. And he actually came a lot closer, I think, to maybe being in a position where he could clutch this out than I thought he could. So props to Ethan there. I think he was just one turn away. He needed Lunala to live one more turn so he could get a Moongeist Beam off, potentially into Groudon. But at this point, he just locks it up.
We do see that Groudon is faster than the Incineroar. And so that is important information, right? Because now both players know, all right, if Trick Room is active, Incineroar is faster. If it's not, Groudon's faster, and that really affects how that, how that can play out. So,
and for Ethan, I don't think he needs to change the 4 Pokemon that he brought. He's got the Metagross, which like you said, isn't really hitting a whole lot. It probably has Stomping Tantrum. It can hit Iron Head on Yveltal for okay damage, but it just gets eaten up by so many things on Alex's team. I would imagine Ethan goes with the same 4. What do you think?
Yeah, so I could potentially see him wanting to bring Tapu Lele, although again, there's just not a whole lot that Tapu Lele does. If Alex doesn't have a whole lot of reason to bring Hitmontop, which is really the only thing he would want. Although I suppose overriding Misty Terrain in order for Smeargle to fire off some spores could be advantageous as well. It's tough to say. Matter of if Ethan can deal with Bronzong before losing Xerneas. Xerneas is still in a pretty good position, right? He's going to struggle to hit this Groudon still, but the rest of the team is pretty threatened by a boosted Xerneas. which is something I'm sure Ethan wants to set himself up, get in that position.
Yes. Yeah, and he's got to be thinking to himself that his Lunala really is the way to deal with Groudon.
For sure.
It's unless he brings Lele with a Psychic or something. I think that's got to be his game plan right now.
All right, so here we go. Getting into game 2 of this last round of Swiss. And we're going to see, both players got a lot of information about their opponents there in that game, because like you said, it was kind of a long, drawn-out game 1. So there's a lot of that's been shared, and I'm sure both players are kind of. So now we do see Groudon and leading out here for Alex, and Xerneas and Incineroar coming out for Ethan.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think about this adjustment from Alex's side of the field?
Well, Groudon Fini, it really is one of the main counters against the potent lead that is Xerneas and Incineroar, because Fini offers so much support, like Light Screen, where if he fakes out Groudon, to prevent the damage, well, you still get a Light Screen off. If you fake out Fini, then Groudon still gets a Precipice Blades or a Swords Dance off, and is threatening huge damage. So this is a great, it's a solid lead from Ethan, but it's a great lead from Alex to counter that lead.
Yeah. So this Bronzong coming in here into that, that's going to be huge, right? If this Groudon goes for a Precipice Blades or a Swords Dance, both are going to be super threatening, because with up now, he doesn't really want to switch it out. It's going to take a ton of damage from the Precipice Blades, and neither of these Pokemon are particularly threatened. So that's putting Groudon in a good position here.
Yeah.
I suppose the one saving grace is has to connect with Incineroar here with the next Precipice Blades.
Yes, and this is ironic because this is the exact same thing that we saw in round 1, where it was Alex against Leonard, and Alex made the same exact play, but he missed on the Incineroar, and that was huge because it allowed Leonard's Incineroar to get an attack off onto the Bronzong. But he didn't miss this time, which is very nice for Alex. Goes for a Moonblast and does under half. That is a bulky Groudon, and he still doesn't miss his Precipice Blade, so this is great for Alex.
Yeah, so we do see that Precipice Blades, followed by, looks like Trick Room coming up here. And this is putting such a strong position. Room active, his Groudon's at -1, but it's been dealing a ton of damage to this Xerneas. There's just not a lot of outs for Ethan at this point.
Mm-hmm. And I think Ethan's Xerneas is very bulky, which is good for him here, because if he switches the Incineroar back in, he might take a Gyro Ball. But yeah, it's a very good position for Alex, needless to say.
Yeah, so I think Ethan is going to kind of struggle to fight through these Trick Room turns here. That's going to be a big ask. But we haven't seen all of Smeargle set, There's still those mind games of Wide Guard versus Follow Me, Fake Out, of course. There's a lot that could still happen here. So we do see Xerneas going for Protect. The Precipice Blades does connect with Smeargle, so that removes Smeargle from the field there. Strange to me to not have seen him take advantage of Fake Out, but I definitely understand not wanting to give up your Xerneas, let your Xerneas get hit by another Precipice Blades there.
Mm-hmm. I think the idea from Ethan there was, I'll just let Smeargle go down. If he misses Precipice Blades, great, I can spore the Bronzong. But if he goes down, Smeargle goes down, I get my Incineroar in, Intimidate, Fake Out, and I can help stall out these Trick Room turns.
Right, so now we do have Incineroar in against Bronzong. Bronzong's not going to be able to deal a ton of damage to it. And I mean, I don't know, with that Intimidate, like I feel like Xerneas is still in range for a Gyro Ball here.
Could be. It's hard to know. It could be. Yeah, I think in this position he does go for the Fake Out, but we'll find out here, won't we? Yeah, so he does live.
The Xerneas does survive that Gyro Ball, and that's actually huge, right? Because now position to get potentially KO'd by a Sun boosted Flare Blitz.
Mm-hmm.
And Xerneas just has to protect out one more turn of Trick Room. I believe I maybe should have been counting on paper.
Actually, it says turn number 2 of Trick Room, so there'll be one more after this, which is actually really big for Alex. But yeah, I think that Flare Blitz will KO either Pokemon here, provided that the Sun stays up. And the Misty Terrain being up actually helps Ethan here too, because he doesn't have to worry about a Spore. So he does have to go for the Protect here. I really wonder about the last turn of Trick Room then. What's Ethan gonna have to do?
Right, and so it kind of depends on what Ethan's last Pokemon is. I imagine it's probably that Lunala. However, with this Groudon being at -2 now,
he might live this.
The potential for Incineroar to survive, which could swing things, and it looks like Incineroar did not survive. So disregard those prior comments. So Xerneas still needs to survive one more turn of Trick Room, which is going to be a big ask if you ask me.
Yes, he could, if he has Wide Guard or something, he could pull out something maybe, but even if he gets through the Trick Room turns here with the double Protect, you gotta imagine there's Sucker Punch on this Assault Vest Yveltal. Alex getting up to Trick Room there in both games was just huge, and it's not over yet. I'm not going to treat it like it's over, but he's put himself in great spots.
So yeah, Ethan's got that potential out of getting the double Protect and Yveltal not having Sucker Punch. Actually, I believe we've seen Snarl, Oblivion Wing, and Foul Play. So there is, but I'm really not sure what other moves Yveltal wants to run that would make that worthwhile. So Ethan's not going for that double Protect. Takes a Fire Punch to KO the Xerneas, and this is going to put Yveltal takes a ton of damage from that Snarl, and it's not going to be able to KO this. So I think that kind of wraps it up in Alex's favor. Of course, we've still got one more turn to make that final Snarl into Lunala. Yveltal just being so threatening to it and taking so little damage from any of the moves that it could be carrying up at this point.
Yeah. Great games to both. I mean, this is high-level stuff here. Alex, I believe, is a regional champion this year, right? He won.
Yes. So,
with
I believe it was Greensboro that he won.
Yeah, with Kyogre, and of course Ethan is qualified for Worlds. Past 3 years, really good player.
Right. So. Just a Foul Play coming from Lunala, or coming from Yveltal into Lunala, will be able to pick up this game. And so Alex takes that set. Now he's 3-1. I don't think any 3-1 should be missing cut, so we should be seeing him, in one of our top cut rounds once that starts. So that wraps up the Swiss rounds, and we'll be back for top cut. I don't know how long they have left in the round, but soon.